helps quite a lot. So I see
Okay,
my
okay.
clients, we have Zoom and Skype. Yeah.
All right. Wow. Uh, Douglas is somewhere. Welcome, Douglas. Meet Omwa Ombara. I'm sure so many people know her through social media, Facebook,
Hi,
and
Douglas.
Douglas. Peter, welcome back again.
So, hi, Douglas. Hi, June Mukwana. Hi, June Ambara. Hi, Peter Theory. Hi, Writers Guild. I see a nice crowd out there.
Yeah, we'll just wait for like um at 3:10 we'll now start like officially. But right now I'm just asking Omwa some of the questions here and there. And if you have any question, can you please put it in comment box, and Omwa will read and she'll get time to reply to it. Omwa,
Yes.
it's
Hi.
only after you moved out of Kenya that you started writing your book, that you got published, or you've ever published before this, God's Child on the Run?
Oh, I have published before. I started publishing. I started writing in 19, is it 89? But I started with
Mm-hmm.
anthologies, like short
Mm-hmm.
stories. I've been published
Yeah.
in several anthologies.
Mm-hmm.
Our Secret Lives, Holding the Center, and other anthologies. But it's only
Mm-hmm.
when I went into exile or when I went into witness protection that I did God's Child on the Run.
Looks like this exile always gives people motivation to write, myself being included.
It did. It did give me motivation to write because I had 1 year
Mm-hmm.
in a room, in a house by myself. No phone, no internet, no connection with anybody for 1 full year. So I got to write. Actually, I wrote the whole book in my handwriting and pen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I
That's
had a
that's
whole year
impressive.
either to cry or write.
Okay. So is it true if I say writing was part of your healing in a way? Because I was having a lecture this morning and a lot of people had different views on why they write. And is yours, will I be right if I say writing was part of your healing?
I could say that is a big percentage of it, but remember, I was always a writer. I was a
Mm-hmm.
journalist. I was writing when all this stuff happened. So as a
Yeah.
journalist, I wasn't writing for healing, but to inform, educate, and entertain. But
Mm-hmm.
then this particular one was when I hit my rock bottom with what was happening. My life was in danger. I thought I would die. So I wrote this
Mm-hmm.
book to let everybody know, to let my family especially and my friends know what had happened, where I was, and if I
Yeah.
died, then they would have the full story from me. But in the process, it was really therapeutic.
Okay.
It helps with a lot with healing. Yes.
In terms of growth, I'm going to ask that question of growth. Do you feel like you've grown? Because I know you are a journalist, but have you grown? Because it's long. I don't know the last time you stopped being a journalist. Because right now you're more into writing a lot, but it doesn't look like journalistic writing in most cases. So
Oh,
have you grown from the time of exile to now?
I have grown a lot and I still write as a journalist, but I use a pseudonym. I still write for the newspapers using a pseudonym, but I call myself now a journalist and an author. So a lot of times, most journalists just focus on the newspaper bit of it. But
Yeah.
when you publish a book, people suddenly label you as an author and they want to remove you from the journalism bit. But I'm both a journalist and an author. And I've
Yeah.
grown in terms of choosing other genres of writing, and publishing or a memoir is just one genre of writing. Like journalism is another genre of writing. The tools of trade are the words. So it depends
Yeah.
on what audience you're targeting.
Okay.
So being an author does not stop me from being a journalist, but I've really, really grown in terms of looking at other ways of using my communication skills. Because
Yeah.
for one, when I came to the US, I could not find a job as a journalist.
Okay.
Yeah, because one, they did not appreciate my Kenyan certificate, my postgraduate. So they wanted
Okay.
me to do the same course that I'd done at the University of Nairobi all over again. And I was reluctant because I'd been a journalist for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I decided instead to focus more on poetry and write and memoir. But because of the experience that I had, it kind of shook me from just being a reporter in the field of being an editor or dealing with
Yeah.
politics, which is what I was working on, dealing with the politicians and their campaigns. I learned that there was much more to life, that I had more experiences to share with the world than just reporting other people's story.
Okay.
And my going into exile, leaving Kenya and coming to a different environment and getting a culture shock gave me a different perspective of how I look at life. I don't look at life the same anymore.
Yeah.
And just answering again on my growth, when I came here to Philadelphia, Philadelphia is in the East Coast of America, I learned that here writers are taken so seriously, that writing is a full-time job. When you say you are a writer, people expect you to be as serious as somebody going to do their office work or going to the farm. It's not like today I can write and then tomorrow I'll take a break. It's considered so seriously, so seriously.
Wow. Wow. Douglas, June, Kennedy, Tuti, do you have any question for Omwa before we start today's session about the rewards and the pains of pain? Douglas, June, and Kennedy, Tuti, if you can hear me.
I'll put a question in the chat. Just check.
Okay. Omwa is writing. Is ask. Okay. Have you seen it?
Yes. Hi, Douglas. Ogedi, you say just joining. How much is the book and where can I find it? So the challenge with the book has been that it has only been available in Canada and the US. Some Kenyans happened to order it from Amazon, but it was very, very expensive. Just mailing the book from here to Kenya was like $177. And the book, that's 17,000 Kenya shillings or 170,000. And the book is $17.95. But the good news is that the book is being published in Kenya by Writers Guild as a Kenyan edition, and it will be available to all of you, all of us at Writers Guild in about 3 months or 4 months. Yeah. And in Kenya, it should be much cheaper, maybe $500. 500 shillings. I don't know what they'll agree on. Douglas, I hope I've answered your question.
Douglas,
sure, you have.
Okay. So just to be clear, the book so far has only been available in America, Canada, and the US. But now we are having it published in Kenya by Writers Guild as a Kenyan edition. So it should be available in Kenya in a couple of months and at an affordable price.
All right. Welcome. You are Sophie and Immaculate Ajambo. Yeah, welcome. If you have any question right now, no questions are being allowed at this point. But if you have, you can't say your question loud, but you can type it in the comment section. Right now, I'm going to give Omwa Ombara all the time she needs in this world. Not all the time, not until
in this world. This world is so large.
Yes.
You said all the time in this world.
so that she can discuss with us, she can talk to us about the rewards and the pains of writing, because all of us, some of us have gone through so much in regards to writing, but others haven't. But at the same time, we have the rewards you get as a writer, no matter what time the reward, at what age you get this reward. So Omwa, welcome now officially.
Thank you, fellow writers, and thanks for taking your time to join this session on the rewards and pains of writing, of the pen. My name is Omwa Ombara. I am a Kenyan, although I'm living in Philadelphia right now. And I'm author of the book God's Child on the Run that was published in 2018. The interesting thing about this book was it was supposed to be published by a publication in Canada. And just the same week that it was supposed to come out and we had announced and marketed it, the publishers pulled out. So I was so embarrassed. And they pulled out quietly without letting me know, because they were threatened by the government. Because the book was about the International Criminal Court and how as reporters we got involved and how the ICC wanted to make us witnesses. So some of us refused to be witnesses. And because they believed we had too much information, we had trouble with the government. So the second time is the book went to another publisher who was ready to give me $60,000 advance. That's a lot of money. That's like 6 million or 60 million Kenya shillings. $1 is 100 Kenya shillings. So $60,000, that's a lot of money. So I refused to take the money and have the book published because the publisher wanted me to change the story. The publisher wanted me to say that coming from Africa, that I ran and lived in the bushes, that I was living in a tree with monkeys, and that I had a snake, that I was feeding with eggs, you know, funny stuff. That was not my life. And people know me, and people know that that did not happen to me. So one of the pains of being a writer is the challenge you face with some of the publishers who want to make a kill out of you, but want to change your story to suit them. So they wanted me to create a story saying I was living in the forest and eating raw fruits, eating wild fruits, and fighting hyenas and lions. That was not my story. That was their story. Yeah. So that is one big challenge. So I turned down the money. And then it took it took 2 years, to publish the book. And finally, I found a publisher, Christian Faith Publishers, who published my book. And I started getting royalties. Initially, I think I sold about 1,000 books. I was getting good royalty. And then all of a sudden, the royalties started not coming. And then I wondered, because people were buying my book and they would send them to me to sign, but the publisher was not sending me the money. So I learned that actually corruption is rife everywhere. And corruption is what I've been fighting all my life. And corruption is why I came into exile, exposing corrupt politicians, including some at the State House. So to come here and find that publishers calling themselves Christian Faith Publishers were not submitting my money to me. So one day I got a check. The last check was $500, then the next check was $6. After 9 months, getting $6 is like, it can't even buy you lunch in the US. So I felt cheated, and when the contract came to an end, I did not renew it. Yeah, because I didn't want to be working for people, sweating for people to just earn the money. And I know that they sold the books because people sent me the books to audition. So that's another pain of being a writer, that sometimes you don't get your royalties. You work so hard, you work so hard, but you don't get the returns. So the question is, are you writing to be famous? Or are you writing to heal yourself? Or are you writing to make an impact in society? Or do you just want to share your experience so that other people can learn from you? Question is, why are you writing? Are you writing because Omwa is writing? Or are you writing because a former classmate of yours became famous? Or are you writing because you have such a unique experience? We say everybody has a story to tell. The pain is your story good enough to sell? Or you might think your story is the only unique story, but it has happened to somebody else. So what's important is to, a lot of us like to self-publish, which is good, but ensure that your story goes to an editor who knows how to package it, you know? It's like when you self-publish and you don't go through the editors and you don't go through the process, you're like someone who just woke up in pajamas and attended a wedding, yeah? So when you're attending a wedding, there's a way that you dress like to be presentable, yeah? It's called packaging. You can't just go to a friend's wedding in your pajamas or in your house dress you are cleaning. So it's called packaging. And a lot of us try to avoid that process of going to the editor. It may be expensive, but it is worth it. So I bought a book that someone had published by themselves. They edited it by themselves, but just the first sentence had like 4 mistakes. Spelling error, a comma instead of a period or a full stop, block letters, yeah. So it is a lot of pain, writing, rewriting, going through the same thing, but it is worth the experience. It is worth the while just to take your time, get a feedback. Let someone else who is maybe experienced or a colleague also look at your work. But it should be a colleague you trust. The pain is sometimes you give someone a story or your idea and they run away with it. So you have to be careful. That's why it's good to deal with a professional. Someone who's not really your close friend, or deal with someone who's professional, who is accountable, who you can write with a contract and say, I'm giving you this work, but I'm paying you for it, or I'm giving you this work, but I trust you enough not to turn it into your story. So trust is important. I remember one time when I was still in high school, I wrote a book called Mother-in-Law, because there have been so many negative stories about mothers-in-law. I had a mother-in-law, she died last year, but she was such a good mother-in-law. She was almost like my mother. So I wrote a book, a long poetry, almost like Song of Lawino's book called Mother-in-Law. And Song of Lawino. I bought this somewhere in America in a very hidden bookshop, and it was expensive. This is Song of Lawino by Okot Bitek. $7. $7 is 700. Yes, this was 700. So it was a book like Song of Lawino called Mother-in-Law, and I took it to some publisher behind Norfolk Hotel. I think they were East African publishers. I gave them my original script. Look how naive and how innocent I was. They never published the book, and I've never seen the script up to now. So talking of trust, yeah, which it's bringing me to the next pain, that some of the professionals may be greedy. These are the pains of being a writer. Even within the publishing houses, some professionals can be greedy. So somebody else took that my mother-in-law book. Maybe the publisher had a personal feeling about it. They did not want me to write a book called Mother-in-Law because it was embarrassing to them. Yeah, but I was writing how some mothers-in-law are bad, very bad, very bad. And I think that time, that was in the 80s, we did not talk about mothers-in-law as we do today. So I lost that manuscript. So when you submit your manuscript, please ensure that you have a copy. Never give your original. Never, ever, ever give your original. Give a copy. Keep a copy for yourself. Because I didn't have an original, I could not prove that the publication disappeared with my script. And I used a friend. It was a friend. Watch out who your friend is in this journey of writing. Watch out who your friends are. I'm not telling you not to have friends. Friends are important. Friends are important for eating and drinking, but get that friend who is a peer, someone in your area of writing who understands what struggles we go through to be writers. Yeah, it was a friend at this publishing house who I gave my manuscript. That friend was an editor there, and the person hid my manuscript, and I never saw it up to date. Yeah, so that's one of the things. I'm mixing the pains and the rewards so that it's not all too sad. But one of the biggest pains of a writer is actually rejection. You all know that rejection letter of, oh, your book was good, but it needs further work on it, or we've just rejected we've rejected your manuscript because it's not good enough. And what is good enough? Good enough is relative. Never ever be discouraged because you got a rejection. Yeah, never ever be discouraged. Publications and those editors who read the books are human beings like us. When I published God's Child on the Run, I sent a copy to Oprah Winfrey. I was that ambitious, and I normally think like, I normally dream dream big. The book came back without even Oprah Winfrey looking at it. They did not even open the envelope. They just wrote return to sender. Oprah does not live here anymore. So I've kept that book in my shelf as a memory to use and as an example. I wish I'd carried it, but it was returned to sender. Yeah. Rejection is an important part of life. As a writer, I would like to encourage you to be like those politicians. I don't like politicians. In fact, my war with politicians is permanent because I believe that politics is the art of telling lies. And the more lies they tell, the further up in rank they go. I may be wrong, but that's my belief. But I would like you to, for one moment, to appreciate one talent in a politician. When a politician wants to stand for elections, nothing can stop them. Even if they know only 3 people will vote for them. They have persistence, they have resilience. Look at all the politicians who try to stand for elections in Kenya. How many times have some people tried to be president, vice president, member of parliament for your area? A politician never gives up. They have that faith at the size of a mustard seed. So as a writer, do not give up. Be like a politician. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. You will find one day somebody who appreciates you. Even if you're rejected, it's just an opportunity for you to grow more and maybe use the recommendations that you've been given. So just in my notes, noting some of the people who are rejected for their books. And you know J.K. Rowling, he did Harry Potter, which is now a famous movie all over the world. I don't know if you watch Harry Potter. But because women were not appreciated as writers at that time, she changed her name to Robert Galbraith. And the editor who received her first copy thought she was a man and sent her a very rude note saying, "We do not want your work and we do not want you even with your beard." And yet she was a lady. So this was prejudice. So sometimes you're hard on yourself as a writer, thinking that it's you who is the problem, but it is that publisher who is biased and does not think you're good enough. They just see your name and they don't think you're good enough. And a lot of writers, famous writers, have been rejected many times. Alex Haley, the one who wrote Roots, or the Malcolm X, autobiography of Malcolm X, he wrote every single day for 8 years. That's a long time, yeah? So that brings us to another pain of being a writer, that if you're writing for 8 years and you're not yet published, it means you should get a second job. You can be a writer full-time like me, but you see, I've been a writer for 30 years, but just getting a second job, an alternative job to supplement, going to do speeches, going to workshops, just get a second job so that you are not starving, you are able to, you know, keep rejuvenating yourself, keep paying your rent and all the other stuff. So apart from writing, you can be also a motivational speaker. You can volunteer at a publishing house. That gives you a lot of experience. Yeah, just ask to volunteer if there's no job. Because I got my job here by volunteering somewhere, and then they see your skills and work on it. Agatha Christie was rejected for 4 years, and if Agatha Christie, those who've read Agatha Christie, when I was in school, people used to read Agatha Christie under the table like that during class, especially a math lesson or a physics lesson. Yeah, Agatha Christie made many people fail their exams. They made many people run away and get married after Form 4. But Agatha Christie's works were rejected a lot of times, and yet she became one of the most famous authors. So I don't want to name all the authors, but remember that being rejected does not mean you're a failure. Being rejected might be a blessing in disguise. It might mean that is not the right publisher for you. So writers, we are often so hard on ourselves that we don't take care of ourselves. We tend to criticize and agonize over everything we do. We writers, we want to be so perfect. You write a line, you write a whole page, then you tear it off, you start again. Don't be too hard on yourself, because sometimes it is the work of an editor to put that work together. That's why you have the writer and you have the editor. You get a good editor, they will kind of package your work well, as we said at the beginning. Like when you're dressing to church or you're dressing to a wedding, you need an editor who can package your work well. So don't be too hard on yourself. Just do yourself, give it your best. There are people who are employed and are trained to put those words into a good package. That's one. Another thing on the writer is that friends and families are not always as supportive as you want. And don't blame friends and family. I'm in a Facebook group about writers complaining that their husbands, their daughters, their siblings, their parents don't read their works. Yeah. This is not your target audience. And these are people who might just either be jealous because of sibling rivalry, or they might not be good enough. They're not writers, they're not editors, they're not your target audience. Maybe they've seen you so much and are so used to you that they don't feel your story is unique. They just see you as like, oh, that's one of our sisters, that's Omwa there. When other people out there see you as someone, like as a famous writer, as a celebrity, as someone they can learn from. So don't be discouraged when your friends and family don't support you. When you're tearing your hair, oh, they're not saying my work is good. You don't have to share every chapter, every line, tell your family every time, oh, I'm writing this, I'm writing that. You don't know what your family does when they go to their offices, where they're working at the bank or they're working or in school. You don't know what they do there. Imagine if every time they came home, they would be like, oh, this happened at the bank, this happened at the bank. Today I counted $20 notes. Today I counted 100 shilling notes. So it can get boring. So that is not your target audience. This is your gift. This is your treasure. You cherish it. You cherish it. You don't want to pass it to everybody. So just be careful with that. Your family does not have to read your works. Yeah, and don't take it negatively. One reward of being a writer is that you can write from anywhere. I travel a lot. I write on the train. I write in the park. I write when I'm cooking. When I'm cooking, yo. I know how long the beans and the maize take in the pot. I write. When I'm cooking and the chicken or the meat or the skuma wiki is cooking, I write. So have a book, any part of your house. It's rewarding. You don't have to go to an office to write. You just need a pen and paper. You don't even need a laptop unless you want to type later, but you can always put your notes. So that's one big advantage, that anywhere in the world you can work. Every place is a sacred place for you. So a lot of times I don't know how dangerous it is at some bus stops. Like right now, I cannot write at a bus stop in the US because of the riots. And people are desperate. Someone can snatch my wallet. But before when I wait for the bus for a long time, I write. When I travel in the bus, when you take that, when I was last in Nairobi 8 years ago, we used to take a bus from Kisumu to Nairobi. It's called Akamba. I don't know if Akamba is still there. But when you're in the bus or in a matatu, you can write. During those breaks when everybody's rushing to the bathroom, yeah, write. This is your full-time job. If you can take writing as a full-time job and with the seriousness it deserves, you will come out with a product. You don't have to write a 300-page book. You can write a 50-page book. You can write a novella. You can start with a novella, which is a short story, 50-page, about 10,000 to 30,000 words, and novellas sell. In America, people don't like to read a lot, so a lot of the books are small. So you can write just a small experience and make it a novella. So you should not be scared of that. There's a very famous writer, Rudyard Kipling. He was told that he did not know how to use the English language, yet he has a bestseller. So let nobody discourage you. What people are telling you is their personal opinion, not their professional opinion. If you're told that by an editor, you still have to get a second editor for an alternative view. So remember, I'm thinking of this story here. I used to be a reporter at Nation, at Standard, at African Women and Child Service. So when I was at Nation, one of the editors who had told everybody I was a good writer, one day just came in a bad mood. And he asked me, what are you doing here? You're not even a writer. You can't write. I don't know why you picked the job of being a writer. So this really, really discouraged me because I thought I was a good writer. I thought that was my field. So people can put you down. I don't know for what reason he said that, and I wanted to leave. But the boss, his boss called me and said, you can't leave, you're one of our good writers. So that happens. There's also sabotage. There are people who will sabotage you. So at one time when I was even within the writing profession, because there's so much competition and it's a pain. Everybody in the writing field wants their books published. So it's like a rat race competition. Yeah. So someone might not, you might go to someone for advice, but they're the ones who want their book published. Yeah. So they might tell you the opposite of what you want to hear. Oh, this story is so bad. You know, I don't like it. I don't think you can be published. Yeah. So I keep stressing on professionalism. Yeah. So there's a time I wrote a story about a place called Kondele. That's where I was born. Yeah. And people are embarrassed to say I'm a Nyakondele, but that's where I was born. I did not choose to be born in Kondele in Kisumu, but that's where I was born. So when I was an editor, they say work with what you know. So for me, I wrote an article about Kondele. Those days, Kondele was one street where you were born, like Simon Makonde, you were married in the same place, you got a boyfriend in the same place, you went to church with the same people. It was the same people, yeah? You went to the same market and then you got buried right there at Mamboleo. So it was just a one street where nobody ever left, yeah? So this editor in Uganda for the Monitor newspaper was so impressed with my work that he came to poach me. He wanted me to go and write for the Monitor. So when he talked to my boss said, oh no, don't, you can't poach Omwa. She's a very, very difficult person to work with. Yeah, she has a problem with authority. She'll give you such a rough time. She's a good writer, but she can't work. She doesn't listen to anybody. So I was so shocked when I was told this. The person said, oh, we wanted to give you a better job, promote you, give you a job at the Monitor, but your own editor has said you are a difficult person. You don't listen to his instructions. You don't respect authority. So I went to the managing editor and I asked, where is this coming from? Because you've always told me I work well with people. I'm a people person. I'm respectful. And the managing editor told me, oh, we didn't want to lose you, so we had to create a story. Yeah, so that these people don't promote you. So what am I saying? Sabotage is real. Yeah, and that's one pain you have to live with as a writer. Sabotage is real, even from someone you think is your mentor. Even from, I'm not discouraging you, but you have to stay woke. You have to be alert. Is this person helping you to grow? Like there are things when people tell you doubt, you start doubting yourself. Yeah. So you get a second opinion. Always try and get a second opinion when someone is putting you down and saying, oh, you can't write, your work is useless, you know, you don't belong here. So can you believe a whole managing editor telling another managing editor in another country? Imagine how they messed up my reputation and my name. They never said they were doing this. They didn't tell the other person they were doing it to keep me in the job. They told the other person, I am someone who is difficult, I have problems with authority. So that goes in my resume. If I went to look for a job in the Monitor years later, they will say, oh, you are a difficult person. Yeah. So look out for sabotage. That's one of the pains of being a writer because the competition is so stiff. Everybody wants their book published. Yeah. And then just looking at my notes again, one of the challenges, one of the beauties of being a writer reward is that you get to travel a lot. Yeah. My first opportunity to get onto a plane and travel when I was about 20 was a little poem I wrote about the city fathers. Yeah, and how they were mistreating, bringing little girls from the village to be house girls. Yeah, it was a very short poem like that, but it won an award and it got me a free travel to Zimbabwe to the International Book Fair. So when you see all these competitions or these things, they say, oh, submit this poem, even when they're not paying you, just submit because you never know. You never know where that will land you. But the interesting thing, when I went to Zimbabwe, we were not put up in a hotel because the person who took us to Zimbabwe was trying to make money as much money out of as possible from the funding that we got. We were 3 of us who went to Zimbabwe. So they took us to another woman's house to live there in the village in Zimbabwe when all the other writers were living at the Hotel Intercontinental. Yeah. So look at what corruption is. Huh? So we were getting into a Zimbabwe matatu, yeah, when the others were just getting down the elevator and going to have the 8-course breakfast at Intercontinental. We were living with this lady. She gave us porridge and omena. I don't know what omena is in English. I don't know if it's silverfish. What's omena in English? Somebody knows, yeah? But so because we were living in, this was her friend. This was the friend of the organizer, the producer, the lady who took us as writers from Kenya. The writers in Uganda were staying at the Hotel Intercontinental. The writers from South Africa, from North Africa, but we from Kenya, we went to share a bed in somebody's house. Yani Kenya. Can you imagine how corrupt we are? We went to this house, we were sharing, I'm sharing a bed with another writer who is even a teacher from another school, I don't know. And he said, we are sharing a bed, 3 of us. That lady is now a professor, I won't say her name, yeah? But she used us badly. And then after eating, I offered to cook, yeah, to wash the dishes, yeah. So when I was washing the dishes, one of the dishes slipped from my hands and fell. I was given a lecture of a lifetime. The lady who had hosted us said, how can you break my dish? How can you break? You came all the way from Kenya to break my dish. This dish was given to me by an ex-boyfriend, and I really value it. It has sentimental values. Yeah. The lady who refused to talk to us, it was so tense in the house. Yeah. So I learned it was pain, it was a pain. Yeah, I learned when I go to a place, when I go for a program, I insist that if you're not giving me the ticket and the room for the hotel, I want to see where I'm going to live. I'm not going to live in somebody's house, somebody I don't know. Yeah, the lady made it so difficult. She wanted me to pay back the plate. I said, okay, how much money can I give you? She said, I want that very plate that you broke, because I don't know where the boyfriend got it from. So now instead of focusing on our presentations, we're focusing on this broken plate. Yeah. And then she told me not to go near her sink anymore. So anyway, those are challenges you get. So that is one of the challenges. If you get someone who's organizing your team, because sometimes as writers, you travel a lot. But the joy I've had in traveling, I've been to South Africa just for writing. I've been to Germany. I've been to Netherlands, Belgium. I've been to Amsterdam, just because of writing. So writing can take you places. So don't look at writing just in terms of monetary, but also in terms of exposure, like where it can take you, the networks you meet, you know, someone who might hold your hand might be somewhere in Amsterdam or Netherlands or South Africa. It does not have to be someone in Nairobi or Kisumu or Kisii or Kakamega, yeah. So do even a little piece, a short story, you know, before you do your complete book. Get involved in these short story writings competitions, even if it's a public forum. And just get your name out there, because you never know. People read a lot. People read a lot on Facebook, on newspapers. People read a lot. There are people who just are looking for new talent. Yeah. Another reward of being a writer is that your age does not matter. It does not come with a job description that we only need to employ people who are under 35. So you can write at any age. A lot of people here in America are writing their autobiographies. And they write it when they're over 60, 70, 80, yeah? And a lot of these autobiographies are what the youth read. They want to see the success stories of the people, the mighty giants who are now in the leading in the nation, yeah? So when you write, don't worry if you don't publish immediately, but just keep that work together, because one day you will publish it. Finish one book, put it aside. Do your job, whatever you do. Do another book, put it aside. One day someone may want to put that collection together. Yeah. So, you know, it's an ageless job. Yeah. It's not like you're being retired or nobody's firing you. You do it at your own pace. And it can earn you money. Like some of us are doing writing for a living. That's how I pay my rent. That's how I go on vacation. That's how I pay my bills. So you can, one of the rewards of being a writer is that you can do it for money. It has its challenges. Yeah. So what is it that is making you not write? And I had said earlier, what is stopping you from writing? And I would like some questions. What is stopping you from writing? What is it, a fear? Is it lack of money? Is it that you don't know where to start? Is it where you are living? What is it that is stopping you from writing? So at this point, if there are any questions, Patricia? So as I wait for Patricia, or if you have any questions, you can post them on the side. But what's important as a writer is...
There's somebody...
Someone
Lisa is asking, when Grace was rejected, where was she getting money to publish again? When you were rejected the first time.
Oh, okay. So the first...
Where were you getting money?
Okay, so I said a writer needs to be resilient and hard-eyed like a politician. So the first publishing, so there are different kinds of publication. You can do self-publishing or you get a traditional publisher. If you get a traditional publisher, you'll be very lucky. But for a traditional publisher, you can't just write your whole story at once. They need a synopsis. They need a chapter by chapter summary of what your whole book is about. And then they'll give you an advance. So the first publisher was going to do my book free because I was an asylee. I didn't have a job. I was living in a shelter. I didn't have any money. I came to America with no money. No money, not even 1 shilling. Yeah, because of the way I left. Yeah. So I had my book, which I sent to him. And then later on, a friend of mine in Kenya published typed the whole book. So the publisher agreed to do the book free and then deduct the charges later. Yeah. So if you get a traditional publisher, which is hard to get, but not hard, because a lot of us don't do the synopsis. The synopsis is a very important part of writing. Nobody's going to give you an advance if you don't do a synopsis. Meaning you do, if you're writing 10 chapters of your book, do a summary of every chapter and then give it to the editor.
Thank you, Grace. Caroline Duguna is asking, hi, I read somewhere that it's good to sign an undisclosure contract with an editor or published or a beta reader. I think a publisher or a beta reader. Is this a normal practice, or does it show like does it show like you don't trust the people you're working with? Is it okay to sign an undisclosure contract with your editor or publisher or this proofreader or anything?
Yes, it's important to sign a contract with anybody who you give your work, even if it's not a monetary contract. Yeah, because you give a beta reader your contract, a beta reader is not even supposed to sign a contract with you, but for the safety of your own work, because you give somebody your work and they're going to publish it as their own work. And it happens a lot in India and with all due respect to my Nigerian brothers and sisters, some of the works you post on Facebook, those stories you write and all that, some of the West Africans and Indians take those things and publish in their newspapers and also publish as their own works. And they say, I've been to Kenya, I've been to Africa, and this is my story. So it's important to sign that contract.
Caroline Juguna again is her pains of writing, and saying, one of my pains of writing is that I have a hard time finishing a story. I start and kidogo kidogo I lose interest and jump to something new, which I again will not finish. What exactly can you advise Caroline on this scenario?
Oh, wow. That's a hard question. Caroline, there are people who are gifted probably like you. I wouldn't call it a weakness. See it as a strength. But there are people who write 2 or 3 books at the same time. So if you're writing one book and your ideas, you come up with something else, put the other one aside and just focus on the new one. Yeah. If you have that kind of like an attention lap, Yeah. Or work with a mentor, or a buddy, like a friend who you keep referring to, will encourage you, to be consistent. But that is more like a personality thing, which I can't advise much on. But there are people who are gifted like that. You can do 2, 3 works at the same time. So just keep one and focus on another.
June
And
is
then,
saying
Carol,
this.
sorry. Carol, you're the kind of person who is great at short stories. That's a characteristic of a short storyteller. So do your bits in short stories and do a whole collection, like an anthology.
Okay. I hope you heard that, Caroline Juguna, and I hope it will help you to now become a short story writer. June is sharing her views also. I think many Kenyan writers shy away because of stories they hear about how difficult it is to get publisher who would be willing to publish their work. Is it that difficult to get a publisher who will publish your work?
Yes and no. So if I were a writer, if I was a beginning writer, I would look at the issue like any other career. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's specific to writers, but writers are loud. They want to talk about their life and everything else. Look at it like someone who is looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, you just finished college, or you just finished your degree or your PhD or high school. Do you stop looking because you hear that it's hard to get a job? No, you have to be consistent. You have to be resilient. There are people, famous writers, who've been rejected 38 times. Somebody here who's very famous was rejected 100 times. Yeah. So that's why I said at the beginning, even when you're writing, make sure you have an alternative. That's the painful reality. Make sure you have a second job, a second hustle. Find another source of income until you get published. Because even if you get published, you might not become that rich and famous. Yeah. It's a mirage. It's kind of not every writer gets rich and famous. Question is, why are you writing? You might just be writing because you need to release that experience. You want to share your experience with other people. But if you're writing to be famous, it's kind of a narrow way, because not everybody gets famous in whatever field that you work in. Yeah. Some people go to Hollywood and they work there, but they just like sweepers. They don't become famous. There are those who become actors. You might hit it like Lupita, but not everybody. The Kenyans in Hollywood, not each one of them has hit it as Lupita, Nyong'o, but some of them are making a little money. So if you work, I would advise you to widen your horizons. There are a lot of publishers in India, in Canada, especially in Canada, and then in Netherlands. Don't just confine yourself to Kenya. Yeah. I'm seeing some of the writers here from Zimbabwe who have been trying to get publishers for the last 20 years, and now they're being published in Germany. And it's through those links that they have made, the friends they have made on Facebook. Yeah. And one thing I said on, I think Wednesday, as we were preparing for this Ekklesia, was there's something we said like, hello, I can hear somebody. I heard somebody's background, and I thought someone was asking a question. I don't know if I answered that question.
So June, I hope. Sorry, June. I hope your question is answered.
Yes, there are a lot of publishers, but you need to find where they are. Like right now, I got an email saying there are 30 publishers looking for work. So join those. Apart from having 5,000 friends on Facebook who are not useful, like I deleted 2,000 friends, and I'm sorry, friends, if I deleted you, but I deleted like 2,000 friends and joined the writers forums, Frontier with Writers, Author Helping Author, Writers Digest Community. Look for those groups in Facebook that deal with writers and who post and say, I'm looking for a writer, I'm looking for work from Africa, I'm looking for something new. You will find a publisher. Don't confine yourself just to your country. And then I talked about Facebook on Wednesday. It's so expensive. to inherit enemies on Facebook. Yeah. Words are so precious that we writers, we're not supposed to just throw words. That's our asset. That's our investment. So don't just throw posts on people's pages and make enemies, because this might be your publisher. Be polite even when you're giving a dissenting opinion, but sometimes you make enemies. Like people on Facebook like to recruit enemies. I've disagreed with this person because they said this. Now you're my enemy. I'm blocking you. You might be blocking that person who could have published your work. So it's very, very expensive to make enemies, to join camps on Facebook. Keep it professional and join the networks for writers. That's all I'll say, June. Networks for writers. Yeah.
June is also asking, is the accusation that most Kenyans don't read true? Could this also be the reason why we have very few Kenyan authors? According to your view,
no, that is a narrative. That's a false narrative. Kenyans really read. Kenyans really read, and go to Kenyan houses. They have more books. They have a better library of books. That's a narrative that somebody once said, and it has rubbed on and on. But Kenyans do read. Go to the writers' workshops. You'll find lots of Kenyans who are reading. Kenyans buy books. Kenyans, about 100 Kenyans bought my book and ordered it from the US. So Kenyans do read. The only challenge was that the schools, is it Ministry of Education, tried to espouse or emphasize on textbooks. Yeah. So people are reading more buying more of textbooks than writers' books. But if you have a unique story, people will read. And then writers buy each other's books. And you say, nobody will buy my book, it's a hard life. Buy each other's books. Yeah.
Up to this moment, I don't see any. Oh, Anne Onyek is right. Odeka is asking, is writing a book dependent on culture? Does writing something themed on one's culture give one an upper hand when it comes to publishing?
Yes, definitely. So a lot of us Africans, we try to appear to be modern. We try to pretend we didn't grow up in the village. We try to pretend we didn't have jiggers. We try to pretend we didn't live in mud houses. We try to pretend that we didn't go to the river to fetch water, that we didn't date our boyfriends by chewing grass and, you know, all this village romance. But that's what sells. That's what sells. I've seen it's important to work with what you know than creating what you don't. It's good to be a creative writer, write fiction, but work with what you know, because that means you are exclusively the author. It means you're the one who has private, you're the one who's private to the information that other people want. So I've been going around the bookshops out here, and there are no African writers, and they want African writers. Most of them are from West Africa. Why did Achebe make it? Why did Ngugi make it? All the other writers, because they used culture. And up to now, we still quote Achebe, we quote Ngugi. I was just joking with Mwalimu Charles Okot, and I told him, you're a very good writer, and he said, oh, I just try a little. I said, no, if you do not praise yourself, like the lizard that jumped on the Iroko tree, yeah, nobody will praise you. So those proverbs that your grandmother, the people in your village, those people you despise use, those are the ones you want to use in your book, because it will be something new. You'll be giving new information. I hope I answered that one.
Thank you so much, Omwa. At this point, and that question has been answered. At this point, I don't have any other question, but please continue sharing your views, continue sharing your pains and rewards of your own pen. And I've been answered accurately. Okay, Omwa, you can continue from there if you have anything to add on.
So I just want to add that if there are people there are writers and there are ushers. Adam, I want to ask this humbly. I want to ask you today, what are you working on right now? Are you a writer, or are you dreaming to be a writer, or are you a Nasha? When you talk of a Nasha, I have 2 dogs called Samson and Delilah. Yeah, they are brothers and sisters. These dogs, anytime I walk in the house, they escort me. If I go to the bathroom, they come with, they want to follow me. If I go to the kitchen, they follow me. So are you a Nasha? A Nasha is someone who says they are writing, but they are not writing. They just say, I'm a writer, I'm a writer. But nobody has seen anything that you've written. You're like a Nasha, who when people have collected money in church, you call it Sadaka, you're taking it to the priest right there to bless. So start by being a writer. Write something, yeah? Don't just be an usher. Like, a dream is just an idea unless you remove the D and make it real. Remove the D from your dream and make it real. A dream is just an idea in your head that you have not translated into action. Remove the D from your dream and make it real. And how do you make it real? Organize yourself. Your working environment might not be conducive, or you might just not have the time, but create time. If you really want something, create time. Yeah. If you want to date and you don't have someone to date, you create time. You'll go to an event, you'll go to a pub, you'll go to a wedding, you'll go to a party, so you can meet someone. Create time. Make a date with yourself and your story. And give yourself a minimum of some words every day. Just try, even if you're doing only 100 words every day. Don't try to be Superwoman or Superman and try to write 10,000 words. No. Give yourself a target. Yeah. Make writing as essential as going to the bathroom. Yeah. I don't want to use the bathroom word because not all of us, people don't bathe every day. I just read in America, some people bathe once a month. Or not just America, but even in some parts of Kenya. So I'll say, do an essential service. An essential service is like going to the bathroom, meaning going to pee and poop. Sorry to use that. But make it an essential service. Make writing your essential service so that every day, like every day you eat, you don't miss food. Write 100 words a day. And then don't try to be an editor yourself. Don't try to over-judge yourself. Just write. There's an editor somewhere who will put that work together. And then there are volunteer editors. If you go to the beta readers, they're volunteer. Go to beta readers on Facebook and join that group and observe. Observe what other people are doing. So a beta reader will look through your work. It's an experience, not experience, a seasoned person like me. When you're a woman and you reach the age of 50 or 55, they call you seasoned. Season is something you add to the food like spices. So I'm a seasoned writer, or I'm a seasoned reader, and I make money on the side, but because I make money and I have the experience, I don't feel threatened by helping another writer. So I will look at your book and read it and give you the comments without charging you. So we have beta readers, and there are writers who've been in the field for many years. They've been in the newspapers, they've been in New York Times, they're now retired, and they just want to see a young writer. And when I talk of a young writer, I'm not talking of your age. A young writer is someone who is young in their book. Yeah, a young writer. They want to see a young writer grow. And I would like to appeal to any writer who is seasoned, who is here. Please hold the hand of another writer and guide them. Because it's lonely at the top. It's lonely. When we went to Zimbabwe, the Ugandan women united, there were like 50 of them. Femrite Uganda. There were 50 of them. They said, we don't want to live in a hotel where they're charging $1,000 a day. We want that money to take back home. Because they had strength in numbers, they checked out of the hotel. They were screaming and saying, Banange, Banange. And they were given back their money. They said, oh no, we need the $7,000. We don't want to live here. I don't know where they went to live, but they left. They went to a cheaper place. Yeah. So strength in numbers. You want to be more. You don't want to be the only person who is successful. Because when you are alone, you don't walk far. A person who walks alone doesn't go far. You need help along the way. So please take somebody under your wings. The older, more seasoned writers, please guide our writers so that we grow together as Kenyan writers. So create time. Yeah.
Somebody by the name Ted Ott is asking, how do you the Holy Ghost spirit of procrastination?
Oh, yes. So thank you, Kate, for reminding me about that. I left it. It was somewhere here in my notes. So procrastination is it's a disease. It's an epidemic. Call it an epidemic. That's a tough word. I think we all procrastinate in one way or another. That's why you need a plan. You need to have goals. That's why I said a dream. When saying that I'm a writer is just a dream, but unless you transfer it, set yourself a goal. And when you're setting yourself a goal, there's something we call SMART goals. SMART goals means you need to be, I don't know if I remember, but you need to be specific. You need to be measurable. It needs to be, what is it? SMART. There's something called SMART goals. I failed in that. So a SMART goal is a goal that you plan that makes you work with a good plan. When you want to, everybody's nowadays trying to reduce weight, to lose weight. All my life I've been trying to put on weight, but other people have been trying to lose weight because I used to be so skinny. Those who saw me before, I used to be called Skelly. People nicknamed me Skeleton, not Skelly. So when you're trying to lose weight, you have to make a plan. You can't just say, I want to be eating every Monday, because that's not possible. You can say, I will be eating, but I will reduce my food by half. Yeah. Or now, instead of eating 2 pieces of chicken, I'll eat 1 piece of chicken. Or I'll be going for a walk. I'm too fat and heavy. I can't walk 1 kilometer, so I'll walk half a kilometer. Have a goal. What is your goal? My goal is that I'm a writer. Start calling yourself author. Who asked the question? Ron? Patricia, who asked that question? So
Kenosh.
So Kenosh, start by calling yourself author Kenosh. That's a goal. Call yourself author Kenosh and give your book a title and say, I am Ken, I am the author of this book. Give yourself that title. And then write the goals. I want to write about this and this and that. This is how I'm going to start. Every Monday or every Friday, instead of going out, now that we have lockdown and the pubs are not very receptive, every Friday, instead of going to the pub for a dance and some beers and nyamachoma, I will be writing my story. Yeah. Or every Tuesday, instead of having a bath for 1 hour, I will be writing my story. Like, create time. It's all about time. Procrastination is there for even us seasoned writers, but it is a sacrifice. Are you ready to make that sacrifice? Like, how serious are you? Yeah. You can't say, oh, I'm not going to work today. And that's why people don't take us seriously as writers. Because we want to write we want to treat it like a leisure, like a sideshow. Like, it's something I can do on a day when I feel like my mood. Yeah. Be serious like any other. You can't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to work today. I'm not going to work tomorrow. Remember, as a writer, you are your own boss and you need discipline. Yeah. So imagine whoever you're paying rent and then you say, oh, I'm not going to work today. I'm not going to work tomorrow. I'll go to work on Friday. Remember that writing is a full-time serious thing. So that should stop you procrastinating. You have to make a deliberate effort. And I talked about writer's block. Sorry, before I go to that, procrastination, work with a partner. Get a writing buddy. So here in America, we have writing buddies. 2 or 3 people you call every week or you meet once a week and you talk on phone and remind each other, like, where are you? Did you write today? Did you write this week? Like, get a buddy, someone who's interested in your welfare, who you will work with. It's called buddy team, a teammate. So that when you're procrastinating, they'll tell you, no, Bana, if you're not serious, get me out of your circle. Yeah, I want to see what you're writing. Don't be a nasher, be a writer. Don't be a nasher, be a writer. And then writer's block. Writer's block, as I said on Wednesday, if you go back to my video, the one we did on Wednesday with the Writers Guild, writer's block is a reality, but I call it the reality check. A writer's block tells you that there's something in your life that you need to change. It's time to stop. Your brain is overworked and you need to take a break and do something different. whether it's your mental status, whether it's your physical status, whether it's some demons that you're fighting, or whether there's something in your life that you haven't done before that you need to address. So don't take it negatively. Do something else. Listen to some music, talk to friends, write something different altogether, but take a break from what you're writing. It's a reality check that something is not right. You're not your normal self. So don't be hard on yourself. When you have a writer's break, a writer's block, just take it as a reality check. Something in your brain is telling you to move a little away from writing. And the other thing is, yes.
Oh, continue.
The other thing is balance. Balance. A lot of writing comes with loneliness, depression. We've lost a lot of our writers to mental health imbalance, suicidal thoughts, and suicide. And that's a reality. And not only that, even very famous writers like Oscar Wilde and the others, who just used to run over people when they, I think he used to write in his underwear for 3 to 6 months, not combing their hair, not brushing their teeth, and not eating, just drinking coffee and smoking. Yeah, you don't need that. You don't want to be that kind of a writer. You have a family, you have friends, you only live once. Life is not a rehearsal. So don't be writing so much that you lose your mind. That's not the aim, because if you lose your mind and you have such an important, unique story, how will you help anybody? So try and balance. Create a time for writing. Just like you create a time for church, you create a time for dating, you create a time for different things, create a time for writing. It's so, so important. Self-care is so, so important. And then eat well. Don't stop eating because you are a writer. People don't stop eating because they go to work, because they work at the White House, or they work at State House, or they work at Nyayo House. They still eat. They have to eat. So don't just write. Don't create bad habits that were created by other writers in the past. We learn from them. Yeah, don't be so isolated and lonely. If you must be alone, take a week break and go write somewhere. Go to either your home in the village or your grandmother's home, or somewhere quiet. But don't isolate yourself. It's not good for your health. Any more questions? Oh, yes. When you're writing a memoir is what normally writers start with. A memoir is a story about your personal experience, your life. It is challenging, but you don't have to write the names of the people in your family, yeah? Because it can cause relationships to end forever. So there's someone I'm working with on their memoir, and they talked to their family. They said, I'm going to write about you. And they asked the family to approve, and the family said it's okay. But even in your memoir, you don't have to write everything. Remember, you're limited to 50,000 to 100,000 words. But if you're going to write about your husband, and you're going to write about how he was unfaithful, that you're going to have some trouble there. So that is when you will turn your memoir into fiction. Yeah. If you're going to write about your mother and some bad things that she did, then you have to question yourself, do you want to continue the relationship with your family? Or you want to be a famous writer and end the relationship with your family? That has also happened. There are writers who decided to write everything, and then that was the end of the relationship. How important is your family to you as you write your memoir? Miguna wrote his memoir peeling off the mask, you remember. So he did peel off some masks, but the book sold well, but relationships were affected. So sometimes as a writer, you take a risk. What is the important story in your life? You don't have to write everything, but just write the important parts that will help and that will heal you. And if you feel you must write everything, if you want to write about rape, you want to write about betrayal in the family, you can turn your book into fiction and still be a bestseller. Give those characters names and create names of places. You'll still be passing the same message. Yeah. Because family will discourage you. When they hear you are writing, they'll be like, are you writing about us? Yeah. And that's why we said at the beginning, talk to a professional. Talk to someone in your field. Don't always talk to your family because they are not your audience. And they may not respect you as a writer. They might just say, oh, so and so who we just were helping. We were just helping her with school fees the other day, and we helped buy some furniture for her. She's now claiming to be a writer. That's not your audience. That's your family to support you and love you through everything, but they are not your audience. Don't share your sacred writing, sacred words with everybody. Yeah, your book is not for everybody, especially within your family. So there's a person who was writing a book, a lady and her husband burnt it. So how did that help? So I've talked too much. If there's any more questions. Any more questions? Anything you'd like to know? You may worry about the publisher. Worry about the publisher after you finished your book, because those who have done sales know that you come with a product. Yeah. And then one advantage with writing, one reward is sometimes you only need to do 3 chapters. If you do 3 you don't have to do a whole book to submit to an editor. You just need 3 very good chapters. And that's how it works here. Just 3 good chapters. Send your book to Canada. Maybe if the Writers Guild allows me, I will give them some links to publishers who are now accepting books. You just need 3 chapters of your book to be recommended. So you will work with the publisher, but they know that this story is good and you're reliable and they'll be working with you. So don't be burdened. Don't burden it upon yourself to write 50,000 words. You can do 10,000 words and submit it. Yeah. You're quiet writers. You're very quiet. I don't want to steal the show. Say something. Say something. I will hang up on you. Say something. I'm giving up on you.
Grace, today I had a morning lecture with David, and she was talking about creating time as a writer. So how do you create time as a writer when you're in another career? For example, other people are accountants, but they create time to write their work. How can you advise on the creating time to write what you want to write and not procrastinate again?
Okay, we just talked about that, and we said it's a sacrifice on your part. Like I have my husband here and the dogs, and they take up some of my time. Sometimes they want my time, so I create time when they're asleep. Yeah. One good example of someone who's really succeeded as a full-time worker and a writer is Mbogwa Kamau. And he just writes when his wife and children are sleeping. But remember, you don't have to write for 3-4 hours. You can even do 1 hour or half an hour. Create time by giving yourself a goal with a number of words per day. You know that to write a novella, you need about 30,000 to 50,000 words. To write a full-time novel, you need 70,000 to 150,000 words. So if you work with words, you will succeed. I promise you. I'm not a prophet, but I promise you. If you work with words, decide that you want to write a novella or you want to write short stories, and then say, I want to do 70,000 words, but I want to do 100 words every day. Remember, there's no hurry. You'll publish your book when the time comes. There's a time for everybody to publish your book. If God hasn't written your day and time, it's God's timing normally. That's why I kept finishing my book, giving it to publishers. People give it to publishers. If the time is not ripe for your story to show itself to the face of the world, just keep writing. Don't give up. Don't give up. But it works for me, working with words. And then I let my family know that this is my me time. You don't have to tell them you're writing, but tell them this is my me. I don't know if you have a me time in Kenya, but here, me time is so important. In American culture, you just say, hey, today, I'm not talking with anybody. It's my me time. Yeah. And also, if you go out to meet you go to church, you can go to church a little earlier, church goers. You can go to church a little earlier, have some quiet space there and write. You can even write in the pew. Yeah, you can write before people come in, before the choir starts playing the loud piano and everything. You can create, try and think of safe space. You can go to the park. I don't know if that park still exists, the one in Nairobi Center City. Does it still exist? Where the lovebirds used to go and kiss and carry soda and bread. You can go there with your lessons, right? Huh? What's it called? There's a park near University Way, right there. But any of the parks, you can do that. You can go to the animal orphanage and write there. Watch the monkeys and the zebras and sit somewhere and just write. Create your sacred space. It doesn't have to be home, but if it is home, create your sacred space and commit it to writing. So when you go to that corner, you know this is my me time for writing. But I also like having a buddy who reminds me. Set your alarm clock as well on your phone or on your watch for your writing time. That helps as well. Just like those of us who are on medications know that you set an alarm. This time every day I take my medication. Do that with your writing. Take it seriously. That's the first solution or the first option. Take it seriously. Be a writer, not an usher.
Thank you, Grace. I have a question.
Yes, Karimi.
Yeah, some of us do ghostwriting, and payment has been a problem. So there's some questions on the chat, which I've also put there about you're a writer, but you end up being a debt collector because you put in so much to help somebody write their memoir, but then they don't honor the payment agreement. So are there some best practices about charging and really enforcing payment agreements?
I'm glad you raised that question because I'm also a ghostwriter. That's what I do full time now, apart from writing. And I made a lot of mistakes because I started the work with my friends. And there's a friend, the first friend, we did almost 80% of the work.
Yeah.
And she kept saying, "Oh, I will pay you. I'll pay you when the book is sold. Let's share the authorship." I said, "No, a ghostwriter doesn't share the authorship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping you. That's your story. I don't want to own your story. I'm just guiding you, helping you manage your time." And those who said they're procrastinating can use a ghostwriter. Because this person is like a homework, teacher and homework. Yeah? I want this by this day. Yeah. So that was a mistake I made. We did a lot of the work. I took time for 3 days. We would be together, writing like fools, writing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So
and the
person was not willing to pay me. Then I went to Karimi, you can join a Ghostwriters Association. It's online.
Oh, okay.
Just write to them. Ghostwriters Association. There's writers associations. You can be members. Like, open your world outside of Kenya. Open your world with the internet. So the person, the guy did not pay me. So I stopped. I just stopped. I didn't give them their work. I'm keeping it here. You see all this work I'm helping people to write. You pay me, I release it. You pay me, I release your work. You don't pay me. I just it keeps my bookshelf very neat. Yeah. Yeah. Don't be nice. Don't be too nice. So this is what you do. Join the ghostwriters on Facebook. You never ever start working with someone on their book without a contract. You must have a website. Go to omwaombara.com.
Omwa,
OMWA.
Okay.
Or just go to ghostwriters.com.
Yeah.
I have written the rates. One word, $1. One paragraph, $50. If you want to contact me, send me this email and what you want me to do. And then I send you a contract and we sign. Yeah, you keep your copy, I keep my copy. I give my lawyer. Okay, here is kind of a little advanced, but you can create a lawyer. So you don't start working before you get the 40% down
Wow.
payment. You
Wow.
must get, you see this? This
Yeah.
is the writer, yeah. This is a prepayment for ghostwriting.
Wow.
I'm not working for free.
Yeah.
I'm not Jesus. I'm not your Jesus. You want a miracle, you go to church. And this is serious work.
Yep.
Yeah, you want serious work. When you go
Wow.
to work, do they tell you? Does your boss tell you just work? I'll pay you next month.
Of course not.
When
Even
you
supermarkets.
don't get your salary, you'll be rioting in the streets.
Yep.
Give your writing a serious face, so people know that writer. They don't joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, people know. Hey, so and so. I don't see so and so around. They must be writing. Yeah, because time. You have words. Words is your price. What is your bank account? Words. And then time. Time is your debit card. Time is your debit card. Yeah. That time you are wasting, people are wasting your time. They're not writers, but they want to chat with you. They are telling you their stories when you have your own story to write. Unless the story they're telling you is what you want to put in your book, I know that you will reduce your friends, because writers don't have many friends, but just tell your friend you're busy. We'll be friends again next year.
Yep.
Friendships don't end. Yani keep your friends who are useful to you closer, like the way you keep the devil closer, so you know what they're doing, and then keep the others. Don't be enemies, but yeah. But miracles are for Jesus, money is for writers. 40%. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
The
you.
website will help you so you don't deal with people direct. They talk to you through the email, through your website.
Yeah, thank you.
Because Kenyans can really negotiate. Kenyans can want to pay $100 for something that's $2,000. We are gifted in negotiation. Yeah, it's our gift. What can you do? But you have to make money. But don't be so strict that you cannot again a little bit. Because people's pockets are different. Yeah. If the person is serious and it's good for your resume, help them at a lower price. Like anyway to yeah, that kind of thing.
Wow. Thank you so much, Grace. Asante sana.
Okay.
Grace, allow me to ask you this question. Omwa, allow me to ask you this question, and you can share about it, just a summary of it, not too much. Gabriel Dinda is asking, I'm so keen to hear your personal story around the post-election and the ICC, perhaps just a summary.
Okay, so I normally just share this story in serious forums, like the human rights forums, because I was bullied on Facebook about coming into exile. So I was a bureau chief, meaning I was the provincial regional editor of the Standard newspaper and KTN in Coast Province before the post-election violence. So being the boss, I was sending other reporters out, and I was also in the field. So I was following the campaigns of Mwai Kibaki, he was alive then, Raila Odinga, and President Uhuru Kenyatta. They were all campaigning to be president. And we had the Pentagon wives who were campaigning for their husbands. You know the Pentagon wives, if you remember. These were wives of Kalonzo Musyoka, the wife of Oginga Odinga, the wife of Wamalwa, like a lot of them. Yeah, they were campaigning for their husbands. And Mwai Kibaki had two campaigners, Lucy Kibaki, the late Lucy Kibaki, and the other lady in the picture. She was really campaigning. They alleged she was the other wife, but Kibaki came online and said he has only one wife. Yeah, so just covering the elections and everything, we saw what they did, we saw what they said, we reported what they said. And when post-election violence happened, we knew it would happen. So when the ICC indicted Uhuru and Ruto, those of us who were bureau chiefs were in trouble because of some of the stories we had published. Ocampo and Bensouda wanted to interview us and wanted us to go and be witnesses in the International Criminal Court. But you know that as a journalist, you can't be a witness because those are sources. You cannot quote your sources, whatever they say. You'd rather go to jail, because if you start being a telltale, saying, oh, so-and-so told me this, so-and-so. Journalism is not gossip. You protect that person who gave you a story, a whistleblower. Yeah. You just saw the other policeman who stepped on the neck of the African American, the one that's causing riots all over the US. That lady who videoed that is a whistleblower. Yeah. You have to protect her. So we refused to be witnesses, but then the ICC was looking for us, and the government wanted to kill those who are going to be witnesses against Uhuru and Ruto. So witnesses started disappearing, journalists disappeared. Some have never even been seen up to now. So I found myself being called by the ICC prosecutor on my personal phone, and I was like, how can Bensouda have my number? Yeah, but it was another journalist who was recruiting for them and being paid to say, oh, so and so covered the election, so and so covered the election. So because the government state agents were trying to get rid of witnesses, they tried to get rid of me, among others. And that's how I went into witness protection for 1 year at a place I don't know, because they were carrying me on the trunk, the back of the car, and covering me so that I didn't know where I was. So I was alone in a safe house, witness protection for 1 year before I came to the US. That was 2012 March. But the post-election violence was bad, as you all know. People hacked each other. The women and children were burned to death in church. And as a journalist, if you pick that genre of writing, being a journalist does not make you superior to an author. You have just picked a different line, just like the doctors. Someone to be surgeons, someone to be dentists, someone to be whatever the physicians. Yeah. So even in the power of words, in the world of words, you pick your career. So as a journalist, that has been difficult for me. Yeah, that was difficult for me. So that's how I came into exile. Because they tell you as a journalist that your emotions, always keep your emotions from the story. But how can you keep your emotions from the story when someone is burning 40 women and children? You're taking pictures and you're writing about it. And when you go to the newsroom, they tell you, can you write? We want the word. We want 2,000 words right now. So you are crying and typing the story, and you're told, stop crying. This is not for weak people. Yeah. So that's how I ended up in the US, not being a witness at the witness protection and not being a witness from the government. Yeah. So I've been here for 7 years and 1 year in exile in Kenya. Yeah. So that's what my book, God's Child on the Run, is about. We're always running from something, and I can see what you guys, some are, from your questions, I can see what you're running away from. You're running away from the cost of writing. You're running away from friends who want to take advantage of you. You're running away from losing your friends. Yeah, you're running away from fear. Fear is causing you to run away from what you really should do. Yeah. And some of you are afraid of being famous. I was afraid of being famous because I like walking in the streets and window shopping, like the goats in Mombasa. Those who have lived in Mombasa know there's some goats who just walk around around the city. And the police do not chase them away. The city council do not touch them, because according to that culture, those goats are people. Because there's no way a goat can be watching TV on the streets. Anyway, those are Udakus of Mombasa. Yeah, but I like being around. I like meeting my friends. I like going to the coffee shop. I don't want to be famous and have bodyguards all around me. And that's one pain of being famous. Once you get that famous, once you become the famous writer, embrace the new you, because you won't be talking to us. They'll be driving you in a black Mercedes with 6 bodyguards in black suits. So fear of fame, and then fear of the family, fear of judgment. You are afraid of writing that book because you fear being judged. Yeah. You fear naming some people. And yet these are the people who have made your life hell. These are the people who have just messed your life completely. Yeah. A past relationship, you know, a neighbor who stole your land, someone who killed your father or your mother, someone who killed your child, a mother-in-law who treated you like trash. You are afraid because we have this thing. We want to be like Sprite, where image is everything. Image is not everything if that story is going to stigmatize you. Image is not everything when you're going to educate the public. Image is not everything when you're going to heal and release that negative energy that's pulling you down. So let's just start by being serious. I am serious as a writer, and people know me on the streets, that writer, that writer. Do people know you as that writer or that part-time writer or that usher? Yeah. Just discipline. It's just all about discipline.
Grace, I'm going to read some of views and questions. I read all of them, then you can decide how to answer them. Jimmy Nzioki is saying, thank you for the reminder to be disciplined as authors with our writing. It's been a sobering reminder. Caroline Juguna, if you want to have a better reader to read your work, what is the fair amount of pages to send to read? I don't want to send more than 3 pages. Is it too much? Thank you. I read another question from Jimmy also. What's the average time to expect between the submission of manuscript and the receipt of a contract when your work has already been accepted into publishers' publishing schedule?
Okay. So I would like the person who asked the question about the beta reader, Jimmy, is it? Jimmy? No. Whoever asked the question about
Caroline Juguna.
Caroline Juguna. For beta reader, you might have to give all your pages.
Her name is Caroline Juguna.
Caroline, for a beta reader, because you want the person to assess your whole work, it doesn't make sense to give them 2 or 3 pages, because the beta reader is going to read your whole product and then assess and evaluate it. So it's a risk. You'll have to give them all your work, unless it's a short story. Because the beta reader will almost be acting like a proofreader or an editor. But I would like you to join the beta readers on Facebook. There are quite a number, and just observe what people are doing. People normally complain a lot, or just say, oh, so-and-so is a highly recommended beta reader. Thank you for looking at my work. So look at the reviews, look at the people's names and review them and see whether they're good people. But also, you can get a fellow writer as a beta reader and exchange your works. Yeah. Don't underestimate a fellow writer. Exchange your works, let them read your book and you read their books and you give each other feedback. Yeah. Hi, Mary, welcome. Mary Adiambo, welcome. Then the other question was, why Caroline, guilty of being an usher? I'm too shy to show you my work. Caroline, so say you don't have a good prose, Caroline. And who told you you don't have a good prose? Yeah, you criticize yourself too much. We said at the beginning that writers are really hard on themselves. So don't worry about the prose, don't worry about the style. Just get it out of you and let the editors put that work together. That's why editing is so expensive, $10 a page. Because they're supposed to put all that work, all that wild work you've splashed all over the book together. So don't worry so much about giving a perfect work, because you're denying the editors their work by giving them all the perfect work that you've done. Yeah, so don't be too hard on yourself. Submission time depends on the editor, but it's normally 3 to 6 months between the time you submit your script and the time you get your contract. Some are fast, some are even 1 week. If you're paying for the publication, they can even do it in less than a week. But if it's the traditional editor, it can take a year, 6 months, a year. So that depends on the individual editor, individual publication house. I can't be sure. Yeah, but just go online and review. It depends on the publishing house, actually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was comfortable being an usher until stay-at-home order got me writing. So if you are not writing, remind yourself that Omwa said you are an usher. You are escorting people with sadaka to the altar. You're escorting other writers. You're just hanging around them, but you're not doing anything. Don't be an usher. Be a writer. Yeah. Even if you do 50 words, it's okay. Because sometimes in the morning, you just wash your face. You don't have that time to have a full bath and scrub your feet and, swim in the water and sometimes do 50 words, and another day do 100 words, but do something. Even if you write today, I don't feel like writing, it's okay. You're talking to yourself, which most writers do, yeah. Yeah, and then you can also, you can comfort yourself by writing about how you're a procrastinator. Like, I really hate myself today. I promised that I would write, and now I'm not writing. I'm useless. It's all right. You can put that. Just write. Write something. Yeah.
Bro.
And the other thing I was saying was, we go to these international conferences, including Africa, just African content. We have somebody to mute. I can hear a baby playing. That's our future writer. But as a writer, you need to have a passport. I don't know how much a Kenyan passport is now, but just having a passport can make you be invited to a conference. Just having a passport. And then use your Facebook. From today, promise yourself to use your Facebook to show off some of your skills. Because the other day when they were giving funds for writers, because of COVID-19, they just needed you to submit 3 articles that you've posted, even just on your Facebook page. And people are getting $2,000, people in Kenya, to help you as a writer. If you're not on WordPress, it's free. Open a page on WordPress and start posting your work. Even if you just post a paragraph and be consistent, it will help you in the future. So if you've been saving money for, I can't tell you to stop saving money for your wedding, but if you've been saving money, save a little money here and there until you can one day get a passport, even if it takes 5 years or 2 years. Because I would want to invite you for a conference, but we had a nice conference for writers in Zimbabwe and South Africa. There was not one single Kenyan writer because people didn't have passports. Yeah, so try and cut a bit on. I can't say this to a full-time writer who has no other job, but if you get some money here and there, keep it a little. But a lot of us writers do not know how to save. So we get our royalties and we just go on a party. Use that royalty to publish another book. Yeah. And I would like one day to come back with how writers can save. Yeah. Because as writers, we want to live, we are not really celebrities. A lot of times we think that as a writer, you're a celebrity. No, you're a channel. You're a channel that is giving information, helping people heal. You're educating, you're informing. If you start treating yourself as a celebrity, you will grow a big head and you will not write. Yeah. So just consider yourself a humble writer and take it as a mission, a call. Writing is a call. Just like you see those pastors, they want to eat blue band and marmalade, but sometimes they don't get it. They still come and bury you or pray for you. So writing is a call. Take it as a call. Yeah. But try and get a passport. Those who can, try and get a passport. Borrow money from a Shylock and get a passport. Give them your TV or your sofa set and get a passport. If you can. Yeah.
Okay, Grace. Caroline Njuguna, can you please read Immaculate's question after I've read and then after that, Grace, can you briefly explain to us your reading habits, and then you can take us through your library over there. We've been like looking at it all the time. So yeah. But Caroline, before Grace starts, Caroline, can you please read the Immaculate's question, because I can't see all my questions right now. Unmute your mic and read the question to us, please. Or anybody who can see Immaculate's question that was posted at 15:02. Grace, can you see it?
9 o'clock. It's now 9 o'clock in the US here. How does one sustain a storyline in nonfiction?
Okay, yeah. Please answer
And
that
thank
and
you,
then you.
Immaculate, for the SMART goals. I meant measurable, specific, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And I would like to talk about SMART goals, but I think we're almost done for the afternoon at Ekklesia. So how do you sustain a storyline in nonfiction? So if you're talking about nonfiction, probably you're talking about a memoir or an essay. You achieve a storyline by maintaining the same theme. So you can either write in the first person or in the third person. But when you're thinking of a storyline, is Immaculate there? Yes. When you're thinking of a storyline, or even when you're just thinking of writing, starting a book, a story, think of a trip. You have to have a plan and a goal. If you want to go to America, or if, okay, let me give an example. If you want to travel, let's say you got you want to come and visit Omwa, you want to come to a conference in America. How are you going to start? Well, anybody who travels, when you're traveling, what do? You have to know the location, write the location. So I want to travel from Kisumu to Nairobi. Ask yourself the questions. Anybody writing a new book, you're stuck in between, you're stuck with your storyline. Think of yourself as a traveler when you're writing a story. You want to travel to Kisumu. One, from Kisumu to Nairobi. Where are you going in Nairobi? Are you going to Kibera? Are you going to Kilimani? Are you going to Lavington? Are you going to Dandora? So write the name of the place. Your story should have a location, a landmark. So, and then when are you going? Give yourself a date. And when are you going is the deadline for when you're finishing the story. Give yourself a time for when you're starting that story. When are you starting your journey? When are you starting writing? Is it today? Is it this afternoon? Is it tomorrow? And then when are you finishing? So say, I want to finish this story on 31st December. There's someone I'm working with right now. We've agreed that we are working on their book, but we are finishing on 31st of December. That's your deadline. That's your journey. That's how you're maintaining your storyline. The other thing is, how are you going? Are you going by bus? Are you going by train? Or are you going by ticket? So are you going to go by flashbacks? Are you going to do a plot? Are you going to go direct? Are you going to stop by the way? So what is your plot? How are you going to travel? Are you traveling in daytime? Are you traveling in nighttime? So those are the different imageries that will put the story together. And then how much is the ticket? So it's really the preparation. Like, are you sticking to the schedule of the journey? Or you're not stopping by Nakuru? Or you're not stopping by Naivasha? You can't just decide all of a sudden that I'm now going to Naivasha, I'm not going to Nairobi because you've been derailed. You might be derailed, so you want to change your story, but it still has to have a main theme. Like, what is your story? What is your story? What is your story? So my story, for instance, is nonfiction. And the reason I was writing about it is I was writing about the post-election violence and the consequences, the injustices, the dark power of the Kenyan government behind the scenes. Like, the Kenya government is not just what you see. There's a power and there are vicious forces behind them that came out to protect the government during post-election violence. You see gentle people there, they're in parliament, they're in cabinets, but when now you want to attack the government and you want to take the president to the Hague, then you will know that there's some very vicious agents, special branch, like the FBI here, CID headquarters, that will come and try and stop you from interfering with those forces. So that was my storyline. So treat it like a journey. Your journey, what is your story? It's don't digress. If your story is from Kisumu, your trip is from Kisumu to Nairobi, make it from Kisumu to Nairobi. And what will you need along the way? Yeah, will you need to carry your sandwich, or you will stop by and eat those donkey sandwiches that they sell along the way? Yeah. How are you prepared for this journey? Yeah. Are you going to drink a lot of water and then you'll stop the bus to drop you on the way to, the bus is not going to stop. So eat solids, eat candy, choose some big G and orbit. Yeah. Don't drink a lot of water when you're traveling. So stick with your schedule, like stick with your storyline. Don't bring too many stories. Just stick with your storyline. So use your SMART goals. Google SMART goals. SMART goals. Be specific. What are you writing about? What's your story? Is this a story about a girl who got married when she was 11? Or is it a story about, like, what is your story? Like, what is your story? Make it specific and then make it measurable. Like, can you do it within the time that you are planning? Or are you being unrealistic? Are you just dreaming? Or is it real? Can you really write your story in 8 months? Or are you going to need 2 years? I have had customers or clients who are honest with me. They said, I am busy. I'm a professor. I teach full time. I can't try to do this. I can't write the story in 8 months. I'm going to need 2 years. So be realistic with yourself. What's your living arrangement? What's your budget? What's your time plan? Yeah. And then make it achievable. Is it something that you can do? Yeah. Is it something that's achievable? Like, what's your target audience and can you reach that audience? Or are you writing for yourself? You can also just write for yourself or just write to keep that legacy for your family so that your children and grandchildren will one day know your story. You don't have to write to be famous. Yeah. Just there are people who write and they only want one copy for their family. And then realistic, again, be realistic as we've said about it. And then time bound, like work within a certain time. Yeah. But discipline, discipline, discipline. And then I'll go to my reading habits. I read a lot. As a writer, especially when you have writer's block, take another book and read. Forget about your writing. Anytime you have a writer's block, use that opportunity to read other works. Because you get other ideas. You see, you want to know why somebody is a bestseller. Like, what is it that people like to read? You might want to write about the you might want to write maybe about the Kibera, life in Kibera, but do people really want to read about it, or people want to read about your love story? How many times you've got married? Here in America, people get married 3 to 7 times. I don't know if in Kenya you can have 7 weddings, but in America you can have 7 weddings, and that will sell. That will sell very well. But in Kenya, by the time you're getting married the second time, people will have really talked about you. And then the third time, who will marry you? And then the fourth time. Yeah, so is your story relevant? So you look through the other books and see, like, who, Okotbitek, how many stories, how many books did he sell? And what was he writing about? John Grisham, he was very popular. But the other day, I stopped reading him because he said that it is okay. It is not a crime to watch children's porn literature. Yeah, to watch children's porn. And John Grisham is somebody I think a lot of Kenyans read is respected. But he came live on CNN and said, oh, watching porn is not a criminal. It's okay to watch porn. That's not criminal. So I was like, oh, so really that's what he was writing about in his books. He was really doing it. Yeah. So read. If you're a writer, make sure you read. Before you even start writing, read other people's books. And then choose an area you're good at. If you're a good storyteller, you can do fiction. If you're a good storyteller, like in the traditional way, you can do a memoir. If you're a good storyteller, you can do short stories. If you're a dramatic storyteller, if you tell stories until you sweat and you remove your shirt, you can do drama. You can write for the screen. The people, when they tell you a story, they can describe things. They can describe an ant in an ant hole. Yeah. They can describe the sound a cat makes. Yeah, when it's meowing, all the meowing sounds. You are dramatic. You're a drama writer. Write that play. Identify your strength. Work with what you know. So my reading habits. I read at least 2 books a week because I have 24 hours in a day. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of hours. So there are books that are easy to read, like poetry books, and then there are some books like this lady, Unhinged by Omarosa. Omarosa was Trump's personal assistant until they disagreed, and she walked out of the White House, and abandoned her best friend, President Trump. So this is a hard read. It might take me 3 to 4 days, but I read. When I go to the bathroom, I read. Yeah. Sometimes I just sit there and read. But I don't want to reveal to you all my dirty reading habits. So this is my bookshelf. I left all my books at home. I have Becoming Michelle. I love this book. It's now on the YouTube. You can watch her video. And then my other book is Americana. I like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, one of my favorite writers. Yeah, from Nigeria. She's a professor. And she writes about the Biafra war and other issues going on in Nigeria. And I would, for those of you who have not watched her video, she has a video called The Danger of One Story. That's a video everybody should watch, The Danger of One Story. The reason I like that is when you write a story, when you write your book, you get the power. You have the power of owning your story and telling your own story. People always talk about us out there. People can tell stories about you until you ask yourself, is that really me? There's a day somebody called me to gossip about me. She didn't know me. The thing she told me about myself, I wondered whether this was really me. Somebody had gossiped about me so badly and even said I had 6 children. I don't have any children. I have 2 dogs called Samson and Delilah. The person gossiped about me. I was like, really? Hey, she's so bad. And I asked her, who told you about this lady? I don't even want to talk to her. I've not met her. Tell me more. Who told you about it? This lady is so bad. Now we were gossiping about me. And who was it who had gossiped my best friend? That is a book. You can write a book from anything. That was my best friend telling lies about me. Yeah. So this is what happened to one of my aunts from Maseno. I have an aunt from Maseno. And she was beautiful, and this man wanted to marry her, and he brought 21 cows. Yeah. She should have written a book, but she passed. The man brought 21 cows, and then another relative, another aunt of hers, who did not want her to get married to this man because he was so rich, came and told the man that the lady has 2 children whom she got when she was working as a barmaid. Do you know the lady did not have any children? This man came back for his 21 cows. There's so many stories to write about in your memoir. Collect them, collect those rumors and make them into money. Let these people who are gossiping about you work for you by publishing. Publishing their rumors. Make it fiction. Yes, I also have, I love Barack Obama, Dreams from My Father, because it reminds me of my roots. And I really would like to encourage those who grew up in the village, the ones people despise. If you grew up country, you have a story, a beautiful story that nobody else has. Don't try to be modern, sophisticated, oh, I'm speaking good English. Tell us your story. These stories are not out there. The stories from the countryside. Whenever you visited your grandmother, even if you are in the city, what happened? Those nice stories your grandmother told you. Yeah, so I have Barack Obama's, and what else do I have? I read this book now and then and often. I'm a married woman, and it's called The 5 Languages of Love. Yeah, and this person talks about ways in which people love you. The way your boyfriend, your husband, your partner loves you. They may not love you the way they want. They will love you the way they were brought up and trained to love. So some people love you by buying you gifts. They will not kiss you. They will not cuddle. They just keep buying you one gift after another. That's their language of love. Yeah. Another person will just love you by cooking for you. So do you want a man to just be cooking for you and not hold you, not kiss you, not have an intimate relationship with you? But it just shows that people have different ways of loving. The 5 languages of love. So you can even write something about your own love. Teach us about love. If you have loved so many times and your heart has been broken into 1,000 pieces like shattered glass, yeah, write about it. You don't have to put your name, but you can write about it. Yeah, there's so many subjects. Love sells, sex sells, politics sells, culture sells. Culture sells a lot. Yeah. So among the Giriama, I wish I could really get more stories from Giriama land. Amongst the Giriama, if you're a woman who cannot have a baby, they give you a doll. And this doll has a name. And you carry this doll with you everywhere for the rest of your life. And you talk to it and you take it to sleep. Imagine nobody has this story. I once wrote that story and published it, but I would like a woman from Giriama, or I would like you to do such a story, something unique in your culture. Yeah, that nobody else knows. If you are from Bunyore, Luanda, we have the Nganyis, the rainmakers. I once interviewed rainmakers. I went into the forest and found them with a pot and a snake sleeping around the pot. Those are the Nganyis of Bunyore, of Webusakami. Yeah. If you grew up in Bunyore or in Maseno, those areas, Luanda, you now have the Nganyis. A lot of them are now medical. Their children are now medical doctors, but their fathers used to be rainmakers. I don't know how they made rain. Yeah. So if I was from that area, if I was a Luya from that area, I would write about the Nganyis and how they made rain and how they came and stole everybody's chicken. They just used to come and take everybody's chicken and cows in the village because they felt entitled because they made rain. If they didn't bring rain, all the crops would die. Yeah. Write about the birds, like Professor Wangari Maathai. She wrote about the hummingbird. If you are in the village, tell us about your favorite bird and what messages that they used to bring. Yeah. Or talk about the strong relationship, the loving relationships with your siblings, how your siblings have supported you throughout your life. Yeah. So identify your strength and work with it. Don't write about the rumors that you hear. Write about what you know. My library is huge. It will take a lot of time. I have this whole series of this Japanese writer called Kazuo Ishiguro. And Kazuo won the Nobel Peace Prize last year. And he writes about children who are made from test tubes. They're test tube babies. And the only reason they're made, people donate their sperms. And the children are made out of test tube babies so that they can produce cells and body organs for the rich people to be replaced. You know, almost every president in the world has got some spare organ somewhere. I don't know if that's true, but this is what he writes about. And write about being a Kenyan. There's so many topics. Write about being a Kenyan. What makes you a Kenyan? Not what the other person wrote. So my biggest disappointment, my biggest pain, as I talk to as we end our day today, is seeing the people from here, seeing the Americans, seeing the Europeans coming to Kenya as tourists, and then coming back. All the books in the bookshop are how I became a Maasai, how I became a Kikuyu, how I became a Luo, they go and collect our stories and write it from their perspective. And yet we ourselves are not documenting our own works. Document your work however poor it is. It will be part of history. Document your work. Let us tell our own stories. Right now, Americans are fighting over being African and being African Americans, but the African Americans have their stories of slavery for 400 years. As a Kenyan, I can't get into this argument because I don't have their story. I've not experienced it. Work with what you know. So this Japanese author, he has so many books. He has about 4 books. So one of my reading habits, you asked me about my reading habits. When I read a book, when I read an author, I read all their books. When I read Ngugi, I read all his books. I read things. I read The River Between. I read Weep Not Child. I read 3 Days on the Cross. I read every author because I did literature in college and it has helped me. I'm reading Kazuo Ishiguro. I'm reading all these are his 4 books. I have read all these 4 books. And one of my reading habits is I don't lend my books. I'm that mean. When it comes to books, I can give you money. but I don't give you my book because I may not get the book again. Money you can get, money comes and goes, but books no. Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro. He writes so well. The Buried Giant. The Buried Giant. The Buried Giant. A Pale View of Hills. The Nocturnes. And then Never Let Me Go. Never Let Me Go is a bestseller. And imagine, it's not as big as Becoming Obama. Look at the difference. You don't have to write a big book. It's a very small book, and it's not even a hardcover. Yeah. Write your story. Yeah. So the reason I do not give out my books is that people don't return them. People don't return books, and some of them go out of print. There's something special about books that when you hold a book close to your heart, even if it's somebody's book, you just want to own it. I don't know. That's why maybe people don't return books. But I used to lend books and then I stopped. I just stopped. But the most important lesson of the day is work with what you know. You'll just find the story flowing. Yeah. So people have different hobbies. Reading is my hobby. Reading is my hobby. I read magazines. There were lots of magazines as well. I read opera. I read Winfrey opera. I read Homemaker because I like my house to be beautiful. I like my office to be beautiful. So I read about interior decorations. So Patricia, I think I've answered all the questions, unless there's a burning question that if you don't ask, your house will burn tonight.
Yes, Grace, you've answered all the questions, and I haven't seen any other question. You've been brilliant. You've been brilliant. I'm sure I've learned a lot of things from you, and working with what you have is a very good parting word that you can tell us. And people, you can find Grace Omwa Ombara in Facebook. I don't know if you are in
Grace. I don't use Grace. We dropped that in the literature class, but you'll find Omwa Ombara. We dropped Grace when we did Malcolm X. When we did Malcolm X, we took our Christians' names and burnt them in front of the class. So I've not used Grace for 20 years, but it's all right. That's my church name. Yeah, but I use Omwa Ombara.
Okay, this is Omwa Ombara in Facebook. I don't know if you're in Twitter or something. She also ran.
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, but mostly on Facebook. I have my author page, Author Omwa Ombara, and I have my profile page, Omwa Ombara. And I used to just use my pages to post food and to post myself next to somebody's Mercedes Benz and to post next to somebody's beautiful house. But I translated all that and now I post I post my articles, I post my stories. I want to showcase that I'm a writer because I don't want people into my personal life. When people read so much about your personal life, they might not want to read your books. People get biased on Facebook, they start to judge you. So try and keep your personal family life out of Facebook and show your professional side as a writer. Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, people are judgmental. They might see you in a tumbo cart and they wanted to buy your book and they're like, oh Lord. So have that tumbo cart in your family album, but on Facebook, post your works. A little bit, not everything, in case people steal, just post some. Yeah, but work with what you know, work with what you know. You know how much money you have in your pocket and what you can buy. So you know what story you have, you know your strength. If your strength is images, if your strength is prose, if your strength is poetry, if your strength is fiction, pick your angle. If your strength is editing, just edit. You'll become the most famous and popular editor the world has ever seen. Yeah, but take writing as a profession, like a lawyer, like a doctor. That is how we do it here in the US. When a writer is talking, a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer will not talk. That is the person in their line and profession. they're respected because of the image that you give. And you dress like they dress. If you see me in my three-piece suit with my books and whatever, you'll think I'm going to court, but I'm actually going to the court of words. We're going to dance with words. Yeah. It's 10 o'clock in the US.
Thank you so much, Omwa. And you have this energy and an infectious smile that when you smile, it's like you light up the world.
Oh, thanks for saying
Keep
that,
it up.
because I've not been smiling of late. I broke half my front tooth, and it was a lesson for me in humility and vanity, because I've had this gap, which people have always talked about as a beautiful gap, but in America, a gap is a disability. Yeah, it's called, what is it called? It's called lipo something. It's a disability. So when I came to the US, they were trying to fill the gap. And I had to sign that I had refused to adhere to the medical command, yeah. But I broke my tooth and I've been smiling a lot. So I thought maybe God wants me to write more and just stop smiling, showing off my nice teeth. So now I have half a tooth. Yeah, but what's important is good health. Yeah, what's important is, but right now Patricia, I thought you'd say I look like a thug, because I have like I've been fighting in a bar over beer or a man or something.
Not at all. You still look like you, and continue laughing, continue smiling, and sharing that laughter with people.
So writers, let us grow together. Don't go up there on your own, because there'll be nobody to hold you when you come tumbling down like Humpty Dumpty. Yeah, go walk the journey with other writers. We need to support each other. We need to be a strong force, a strong voice to reckon with. Yeah, don't be alone. Don't be a lone writer. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think, Grace, are you done, or do you have a parting shot that you can say? Everybody is saying I can read some. And Carol is saying thanks a lot, Omwa and Writers Guild, for the session. Anne Odeka is saying this has been very insightful. Thank you, Omwa. And June is saying thank you for a wonderful presentation. I will start with what I have.
Awesome.
Joy Ann Mlinya is saying the session has been great. Thank you a lot. Rehema Kiteto is saying, I love your energy, ma'am. Thank you for sharing. From my end, I've really loved the session. Gabriel is saying, thank you so much, ma'am. Asante sana. Karimi Gatimi is saying, thank you so much. I'm changing now. I'll interact on Facebook. Immaculate Ajambo is saying, thank you, Omwa. Your presentation has inspired me. Thank you so much for taking.
Thank you for hanging out at the Writers Ekklesia. This is where we talk everything words. We dance with words, we share our pain, and we learn from each other. I've also learned a lot from you. Yes.
Thank you for taking time to actually talk to us.
Welcome, and don't forget to play some good music, because a lot of lyrics and inspiration comes from music. Yeah, okay. A lot of the book titles. A lot of music will inspire you to come up with a perfect title. A lot of the newspaper headlines, the magazine headlines, and the book titles come from music, because musicians are songwriters. So listen to a lot of music. You'll just find like 2 words, and there will be your book title. Like this one says, never let me go. It could just be a song, never let me go. Like, please don't go, don't go, don't go away. Please don't go. So you get inspired. Yeah. Even if it's your traditional if it's traditional music. I was surprised that some musician came up with a song and sang my name in the song. So now I'm listening to that song and the lyrics are just beautiful. And I'm going to get a nice, good title. So Don't judge me when I say I'm gonna or I wanna, because that's how they speak here. If I say I want to, they will not understand. The people I live with around don't understand that kind of language. So that kind of I want to go and I cannot is for certain class. Yeah, it's not for everybody. So if I say water, don't judge me. Because if I say water, they will think I'm saying what the hell or something. They will not give me water. They say water. So you got to adjust. But I'm still Kenyan. Kenyan Dani Dani. Original.
Kenyan through and through, no matter where you are.
Sita Yacha.
Yeah. Okay, guys, this session is over now. People can leave. Ukitaka kuenda utaenda. If you want to stay, you can stay for some time. Maybe somebody will be willing to sing for us.
Thanks for your time, everybody. I really, really appreciate. I really appreciate your coming over. Because some people have gone somewhere and nobody shows up. Have you ever gone to a function to speak and nobody showed up? Hey, I said you just end up eating all the sandwich by yourself.
Thank you, Omwa. You are such a burden of energy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are requesting for Omwa to sing for us a song.
Oh, to sing a song? In what language?
Yes.
What language?
Well, you can sing any language. Any language.
Your soul language.
Do you know, it's long since I sang in the band. Ningala salama maya, aya nangai nakei, oh maya, amara. This wasn't part of the game, but
no, but it's interesting.
how many of you are prayerful? Because today is Sabbath. How many of you are prayerful?
How many are
prayerful? How many of you would do church and all that stuff? Somebody did this. I don't know what song is called popular in Kenya right now, but
Susanna.
Oh, okay, I'll sing Susanna. Copyright. I've no copyright this music.
It's okay.
Tera diane Kisumo bel Kisumo. Tera diane Kisumo. Tega ida tera winam. Yeah. Aisa gari tera Kisumo. Tera diaba Kisumo. Boda soya kandele tera diane Kisumo. Anadwaro kenda onge ngamatera. Anadwaro kenda onge ngamatera. Binidong jadala binidong siapna binidong jatelo binidong jadala binidong. Ah, Lord. Yeah, but it's been a lovely session, and a lot of writers are musicians, and a lot of musicians are writers. So you can start those talents. Listen to a lot of music when you're a writer. Listen to lots of music. You'll get ideas. You'll get inspired. You'll get your book title. Yeah. Okay, everybody, it's a pleasure. So I'm gonna sign off so I can go and have breakfast. It's 10 o'clock Saturday morning. Yeah. So I will let the host pull me out.
Okay, thank you, and have a good morning.
That's true. Okay, thank you, and bye, and see you soon. We have a writers guild. The Writers Guild has a class on June the 13th. If you are interested, get in touch with Gabriel Dinda. We have a writers class on June the 13th on Zoom. If you are interested, get in touch with Gabriel Dinda. And we'll be talking about plot and themes and how to go about your book. Nice weekend, everybody. Thanks for coming to the Ekklesia. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.